good people. You know who it is, man. And I am back with part three of this Willie Lynch letter, man. Not gonna waste your time. I'm gonna jump right in it. This chapter entitled "How They Broke the African Woman," and we're gonna get into it, man. Real sensitive subject. Let's jump right in.
The breaking process of the African woman. Take the female and run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desires willingly. Test her in every way, because she is the most important factor for good economics. If she shows any signs of resistance in submitting completely to your will, do not hesitate to use the bullwhip on her to extract the last bit of bitch out of her. Take care not to kill her, for in doing so you spoil good economics.
Let's stop right there.
When it
Let's stop right there. So, first thing he said, do you have to test this woman in every way, physically, mentally, spiritually, sexually. They had to test this woman to make sure she was willing to be broken. They didn't test the man. They pure put their foot on his neck, killed and beat the male, the man, the black man. No testing. No testing at all. No, they didn't care what you thought, didn't care how you felt, nothing. But the woman, they ran series of tests on her to see if she would willingly submit. Because if you willingly submit, that in itself is a conquer. Brothers, we all try to get our women to willingly submit to us. Not to be slaves, but just to be our lady, just to be on our team, on our side. You dig what I'm saying? This man is building a relationship with the woman, the black woman. He did not try to build a relationship with the man. He just destroyed the man. Like I said, he is building a relationship, testing this woman in every way. That's what he said, every way. So you know that sex had a big part to play in it. You know, love making, acting like you're making love, to get her to ease up just a little bit. Have a conversation with her, at least act like you're having a conversation with her, to get her to speak and talk and build some type of rapport with this so-called master or slave owner. Let's get back at it.
mission, she will train her offsprings in the early years to submit to labor when they become of age. Understanding is the best thing. Therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of the subject matter concerning what we have produced here in this breaking process of the female nigger. We have.
So, he says, if we can get her to submit, she will train her kids in the early stages to also submit, just like she did. So they become good workers. You understand what I'm saying? If you can get the woman to submit to you, you can also get her kids. She will make the work easy for you. She will train the kids to do what you say also. Because the mother is the what? The first teacher. The mother is the first teacher, man. She starts it off for the child. And to this day is relevant. Look at the world. Look how we working. Let's get back at it.
The relationship in her natural uncivilized state. She would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigger male, and she would have a limited protective tendency toward her independent male offspring, and would raise male offsprings to be dependent like her. Nature had provided for this type of balance. We reversed nature by burning and pulling a civilized nigger apart and bullwhipping the other to the point of death, all in her presence. By her being left alone, unprotected, with the male image destroyed, the ordeal caused her to move from her psychological dependent state to a frozen, independent state.
Stop right there.
In this,
Stop right there. So, the man just admitted that he did all this carnage to us, the black man, in front of our women, just to put fear in them and bring them in a state of knowing that they have no protection. No protection. We will kill your men. You are alone out here. It's only us and you. Because the man does not matter at this particular point. Because he is either dead or is fear has the fear of God in him, of me, of us. So what are you gonna do? Are you wanna get on his level, or you wanna have this rapport with me and you? And out of fear, she chose to have a rapport. A lot of women died. A lot of women said they would never. They would never. And they died. Just like that man did, because we also had some of the most strong women in strength, as in the sense of I ride for my man type women at that time. And they weeded them out and destroyed those women and those type of men. Let's get back at it.
In psychological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offspring in reversed roles. For fear of the young male's life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong. Because she has become psychologically independent, she will train her female offspring to be psychologically independent. What have you got? You've got the nigger woman out front and the nigger man behind and scared. This is a...
So, let's stop right there. So, he said, she will raise her son to be mentally weak, but physically strong. She would raise the daughter to be like her. Try to figure out, have a rapport with the so-called slave owner, slave master. And it translates to this day, man. What's the first thing you get a male, some kind of ball, a basketball, a football, a baseball, something he can play with and condition himself, condition his body. What do they get the girls? They get them makeup, hula hoops, stoves, things to feminize them. You dig? And get their self-conscious up of being woman. The male is getting his body conditioned to be strong, athletic, or a good worker. In those days, the girl was taught to walk a different way when so-called master come around. Bat your eyes a little bit. You dig? Try to open a line of communication with your aura, with your walk, with your talk. Let him know you're willing already to submit. Let's get back at it.
Situation of sound sleep and economics. Before the breaking process, we had to be alertly on guard at all times. Now we can sleep soundly, for out of frozen fear, his woman stands guard for us. He cannot get past her early slave molding process. He is a good tool, now ready to be tied to the horse at a tender age. By the time a nigger boy reaches the age of 16, he is soundly broken in and ready for a long life of sound and efficient work and the reproduction of a unit of good labor force. Continually, through the breaking of uncivilized savage niggers, by throwing the nigger female savage into a frozen psychological state of independence, by killing of the protective male image, and by creating a submissive dependent mind of the nigger male slave, we have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever, unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the position of the male and female slaves.
Stop right there. So, through the breaking of the woman, via killing the man right in front of her eyes so tragically, and then her training the kids to also be dependent on him, the so-called slave owner, they reverse nature. You see what I'm saying? And then they put the woman out front as head of a house. And at that particular time, she had to be, because she was the only one with some type of rapport with this so-called owner. You get what I'm saying? But he also said that nature provides for this and will shift the mind back. Nature will eventually put the man back in front as the protector, as the leader, as the strength of the house, and put the woman beside him or behind him to receive the protection and encourage the strength, which is what's happening right now. It started happening real in 2012 when the world ended and the new world began. People started getting conscious and waking up to the game that's being played. A lot of women left the system, are leaving the system, and getting out here fending for themselves and finding men to build with again, instead of just we using each other as bodies. Now, it's a lot of us who are still just bodies to each other. We only get some kind of reference with each other when we're laying down. We just bodies. We look at the woman as just a body. She looks at the man for just a financial gain or a body. But everything is turning around slowly but surely, man. We're looking at each other in the eyes, in the heart, and having real relationships now. You know, that's why they put out all this junk music, man, so we can continue to go right back to sleep. You know? We can continue to go right back to sleep, and people sell out every day for the little chunk of change that they're going to get for creating this junk music content to lull us back to sleep. And then they throw a dope beat on it, and we bob our head, jump around the club to it, and on the radio to it, never knowing that it's subliminally triggering us to go right back to sleep and be at odds. Man and woman, woman and woman, man and man are at odds. Women are fighting like crazy right now. Men are shooting each other like crazy. But in between all that, man, it's a group of us that are steady rising, and waking up out of this sleep. And we're here to wake you up too. But let's get back at this, man, so we can get it over with.
We showed what we mean by example. Take the case of the two economic slave units and examine them closely. The Negro Marriage Unit. We breed 2 nigger males with 2 nigger females. Then we take the nigger male away from them and keep them moving and working. Say one nigger female bears a nigger female and the other bears a nigger male. Both nigger females, being without influence of the nigger male image, frozen with an independent psychology, will raise their offspring into reverse positions. The one with the female offspring will teach her to be like herself, independent and negotiable. We negotiate with her, through her, by her, and negotiate her at will. The one with the nigger male offspring, she being frozen subconscious fear for her life, will raise him to be mentally dependent and weak, but physically strong. In other words, body over mind. Now,
let's stop it right there. So, he said we negotiate with her, through her, by her. So all this is on the woman's terms, man. All of this that's going on with the black race is on the terms of the woman right now. If she today says no more, it will be no more. Because they negotiate through you, by you. You see what I'm saying? As long as they know you down with the emasculation of your male species of your race, then they're going to continue to do it. No matter if we go to war right now today, they will continue as long as you say it's okay. The power of the woman is great, man. That's why it's a must that us as men and black women sit down at this table and have this talk, man. Y'all have to really, really sit down with women, men, not lay down. Sit down and have a talk. Quit spitting in their ear this game and ask them a real question. Are you ready to stop this perpetual nonsense that is going on with us in this country, in this planet? Are you ready to put a stop to this? If not, I can't be laying down with you. I can't be, even though you're beautiful, I can't do it because it's messing up our future. If we do mess up, if we do have kids, it messes up their future. You see what I'm saying? The the power the woman has in her hands right now to stop all this bull is amazing. And I hope by hearing this, somebody think, if just one woman say, you know what, I'm gonna stop this shit, then I did my job.
Years when these two offspring become fertile for early reproduction, we will mate and breed them and continue the cycle. That is good, sound, and long-range comprehensive planning. Warning: possible interloping negatives. Earlier, we talked about the non-economic good of the horse and the nigger in the wild and natural state. We talked out the principle of breaking and tying them together for orderly production. Furthermore, we talked about paying particular attention to the female savage and her offspring for orderly future planning. Then, more recently, we stated that by reversing the positions of the male and female savages, we created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever unless a phenomenon occurred and reshifted the positions of the male and female savages.
If the phenomenon occurs, and it has already occurred in 2012, but they were heavily producing subliminal messaging through the music, the radio, and the television to try to curve what was already ordained by nature for the black man to get back in front and lead his house and lead his relationship, his people. You see, it's already begun. We've already taken place in front. We've already begun to pull most of our women off the front line with their backs turned, with all these weapons drawn on them. You see, what will happen tomorrow if tomorrow you wake up, lady, and there is no more Section 8 food stamps and free handouts? Nothing else for you to get. What would you do? Who would you run to? You would run to me. You would run to the other me. You would run to all these guys and say, hey, help. Hey, they done took everything from us. What we gonna do? What I'm gonna do? What the kids gonna do? And the upright standing man is gonna say, well, hey, y'all come over here. You know what I'm saying? Sooner or later, there's gonna be 2 or 3 women in every house because y'all outnumber us that much. The ratio of the man to woman is 16-1, I think, on the planet. If they took all these handouts and this free stuff away from y'all in the morning, you would have to find a man who says, hey, come stay with me and my family. You see what I'm saying? Or you would be out in the rain, and ain't no natural man gonna let no woman stand out in the rain. You dig what I'm saying? So it's time now, while we got time left, to start weaning yourself off of these free handouts and free food and free living and get back in order and get back on top. Let's get back into it.
Our experts warned us about the possibility of this phenomenon occurring, for they say the mind has a strong drive to correct and recorrect itself over a period of time. If I can touch some substantial, original historical base, they advised us that the best way to deal with the phenomenon is to shave off the brute's mental history and create a multiplicity of phenomena of illusions, so that each illusion will twirl in its own orbit, something similar to floating balls in a vacuum. This creation of multiplicity of phenomena of illusions entails the principle of crossbreeding the nigger and the horse, as we stated above.
They said the only way to counteract this natural phenomenon of the mind switching and the man getting back in front of his woman and protecting his house and leading his house is to create a bunch of illusions. A bunch of illusions. Look at all these illusions, man. Look at all these illusions that the world puts on us. You dig? Look at the TV, it's just a big illusion. That ain't how people act every day. But we emulate that television. We emulate this music and act like that every day. Brothers walking around with their pants halfway off their ass, man. What kind of shit is that? I understand I want your pants all the way up on your chest, but all the way at your knees, bruh? Come on, man. And then there's women out there who like that. Most of the things that men do, we as black men do, is because it gets attention from black women. True. It gets attention from black women. You think we'll dress up and go out and do all these things and look and act a certain way if it didn't get attention from women? No. If tomorrow women woke up and said, I ain't dealing with nobody who ain't working, everybody go get a job. I ain't dealing with nobody who got their pants off their ass. Every man to pull his pants up. Once upon a time, men walked around in three-piece suits, clean, dead fresh, like they jumped up out of a casket. Women walked around in dresses, beautiful, laid, fresh, clean, hair done, never stepped out the house with that damn thing on. Men, clean cut, hair did. I don't care if it was an afro, it was did. You dig what I'm saying? Whatever we do and keep doing is because we got a response from women by doing it. If we didn't get the response from women, we would not do it. It would not be a style. Let's get back at it.
Purpose of which is to create a diversified division of labor, thereby creating different levels of labor and different values of illusion at each connecting level of labor. The results of which is the severance of the points of original beginnings for each sphere of illusion. Since we feel that the subject matter may get more complicated as we proceed in laying down our economic plan concerning the purpose, reason, and effect of crossbreeding horses and niggers, we shall lay down the following definition terms for future generations. Orbiting cycle means a thing turning in a given path. Axis means upon which or around which a body turns. Phenomenon means something beyond ordinary conception and inspires awe and wonder. Multiplicity means a great number. Sheer means a globe. Crossbreeding a horse means taking a horse and breeding it with an ass, and you get a dumb, backward ass, long-headed mule that is neither reproductive nor productive by itself. Crossbreeding niggers means taking so many drops of good white blood and putting them into as many nigger women as possible, varying the drops by the various tones that you want, and then letting them breed with each other until another circle of color appears as you desire.
Let's stop right there. He said crossbreeding the black woman with the white man. So, he keeps saying drops of blood, but what he's saying is we having kids by these black women. We having kids by these black women to create different shades and tones. Then we take those kids and breed them with some of these other slave children. You got to be a real devilish man to keep your own child in slavery. I don't care if it was mixed or not. You dig what I'm saying? They would have kids by these women, slaves, so-called slaves, and that child would be in servitude. And then they create these illusions like the house Negro or nigger, the yard nigger, the field nigger. We all know that story. We all know what it's about. The house nigga stay in the house. He do light work. She do light work. The yard nigga, he a little bit darker than the house nigga. He stay in the yard. He does work, but it's lighter than being out there in that fucking field where the niggas at. The dark-skinned people out there working sun up to sun down. And no one wants to go to the field. No one wants to. The house Negro does not want to be in the yard. The yard Negro wants to be in the house. So that creates an illusion right there, a feud. They fighting each other to not lose their job and their light work, and nobody wants to be in the field. And I'm pretty sure, man, we all, if you look back in your past or whatever, is some white people in your family. You just can't find it because you got to pay such and such amount of money. But my granddaddy alone had blue eyes. You get what I'm saying? My mother has hazel eyes. My uncle has green eyes. So somewhere along the line, something mixed in the blood, you know, somewhere along the line. You dig what I'm saying? Uh, so I am overqualified to be having this conversation. You get what I'm saying? Because I know somewhere down the line it was something going on. You dig? I have seen my greatest, for as furthest back I can go, as my great great grandfather. Then after that, they want to charge you out the ass to figure out who you really are, because that shit ties to money. It ties to money somehow. It ties to land. When you go back deep enough, you realize you are a heir. You get what I'm saying? Or either a real Creek Indian is in my family. That's what it is. Polk Creek Indians, sprinkled with white people and everything. You know what I'm saying? And this is where this is going, man. Dig into your past, basically. So let's get back into it, man, and finish this off.
Is this: put the niggers and the horse in a breeding pot, mix some asses and some good white blood, and what do you get? You get a multiplicity of colors of ass-backward, unusual niggers, running, tied to a backward-ass long-headed mule, the one productive of itself, the other sterile. The one constant, the other dying. We keep the nigger constant, for we may replace the mules for another tool. Both mule and nigger tied to each other, neither knowing where the other came from, and neither productive for itself, nor without each other. Controlled language. Crossbreeding completed.
And we're going to stop it right there, man, with the controlled language. Because as you know, man, the language, we had our own language, our own tongue. Every race of people speak a different tongue. The English language is the slowest tongue of them all. When you listen to a Spanish brother or any other ethnicity speak, their tongue bounces around in their mouth. They speak a tongue. Their tongue moves so fluently inside their mouth. The English language makes the tongue slow. It picks up and moves down. It's real slow language, man. You dig what I'm saying? It's not a tongue, because the tongue doesn't vibrate the roof of the mouth like Spanish. I use Spanish because it's a ready language that we all are familiar with. We hear it and see it every day. The vibration of the tongue hitting the roof of the mouth stimulates the pineal gland, to activate. It stimulates the brain. That vibration of the tongue hitting the roof of your mouth. In the English language, it's only certain few words and certain few sentences we can say where the tongue vibrates at the top of the mouth. And at the top of the mouth, it's a hole. If anybody does this, open your mouth and look. It's a hole at the top of your mouth. A lot of ours are closed due to mucus because of what we eat and all types of things like that. But it can be cleared. It can be cleared, and it's a direct channel to the brain, to the inner workings of the mind. So this tongue vibrating, that's why when you get in church, you speak a tongue when you catch the Holy Spirit, and your tongue vibrates and gyrates, and it hits that top center of the top of the roof of the mouth and creates those convulsions of the brain, which gives you higher thought. You dig what I'm saying? But they killed us by taking our native tongue and replacing it with the English tongue, and then didn't allow us to read the words. It was against the law for us to read and learn this language, because if we learn this language, the only way you can defeat a person is first you got to be able to talk to them. Let's finish this off, man. Forget it.
Further severance from their original beginning, we must completely annihilate the mother tongue of both the new nigger and the new mule, and institute a new language that involves the new life's work of both. You know, language is a peculiar institution. It leads to the heart of a people. The more a foreigner knows about the language of another country, the more he is able to move through all levels of that society.
Let's go.
Therefore, if the foreigner is an enemy of the country, to the extent that he knows the body of the language, To that extent is the country vulnerable to attack or invasion of a foreign culture. For example, if you take a slave, if you teach him all about your language, he will know all your secrets, and he is then no more a slave.
That's why
For
we
you
couldn't
can't
read.
fool him any longer.
That's why it was
And
against the
being
law
a
for
fool
you
is
to
one of
read.
the basic ingredients of an incident to the maintenance of the slavery system. For example, if you told a slave that he must perform in getting out our crops, and he knows the language well, he would know that our crops didn't mean our crops, and the slavery system would break down, for he would relate on the basis of what our crops really meant. So you have to be careful in setting up the new language, for the slaves would soon be in your house, talking to you man to man.
Man to
That
man.
is death to our economic
That is
system.
death to the economic system.
In addition, the definitions of words or terms are only a minute part of the process. Values are created and transported by communication through the body of the language. A total society has many interconnected value systems. All the values in the society have bridges of language to connect them for orderly working in the society. But for those language bridges, these many value systems would sharply clash and cause internal strife or civil war, the degree of the conflict being determined by the magnitude of the issues or relative opposing strength in whatever form. For example, if you put a slave in a hog pen and train him to live there and incorporate in him to value it as a way of life completely, the biggest problem you would have out of him is that he would worry you about provisions to keep the hog pen clean, or take the same hog pen and make a slip and incorporate something into his language where he comes to value a house more than he does his hog pen. Now you've got a problem. He will soon be in your house.
Yeah.
This has been the Willie Lynch Letter and the Making of a Slave. Copyright 2013 by
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Willie Lynch Letter. Social engineering at its finest. Women, black women, y'all have the greatest power to break this cycle right now, today, in the morning when you wake up, by just saying, I won't allow this no more. Come off the front lines with your back turned. Come back and join your men, and then build. And then together we teach these kids. That's all we can do, man. And by doing that, the world truly is a new world. The world we live in. We are a nation. Melanation. My nation, your nation, our nation, man. Until next time, y'all stay easy. Y'all take it easy and go be gods.